Hi, I'm Christy McCormick, Vice Chair of the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, or EAC. This video is a part of a series of webinars that will assist state and local election officials who complete the 2022 Election Administration and Voting Survey, or EAVS. This is an important project that collects data on election policy and election administration from nearly 6,500 election jurisdictions across the 50 U.S. states, 5 territories, and the District of Columbia. Many states rely on their local jurisdictions to contribute EAVS data. Election officials from counties, parishes, towns, and other municipalities play an important role in this project's success. This webinar provides an overview of the tools available to collect data directly from local jurisdiction officials and presents advice for state election officials who are responsible for working directly with their jurisdictions to collect data for the state's EAVS submission. In addition to this video, the EAC and our implementing partner, Forest Marsh Group, can assist you with any questions or issues you have in completing your EAVS data collection. Thank you for watching and for working to complete the 2022 EAVS.
Hello, my name is Raymond Williams, and I'm the Director of Research at the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. This webinar is for election officials from states that rely on local jurisdictions to contribute data to the state's EAVS submission. At least 30 states will rely to some degree on their counties, parishes, towns, or other local level jurisdictions to submit 2022 EAVS data. The EAC has designed processes and data collection templates specifically to assist these states. While jurisdictions may contribute EAVS data, ultimately, each state's designated point of contact, or POC, is responsible for coordinating the state's EAVS data submission, reviewing it for accuracy, submitting it to the EAVS project team, and certifying the submission as final. This webinar is intended to help state POCs understand the tools that are at their disposal and learn advice about how to coordinate the data collection process with their jurisdictions. One of the biggest challenges that state officials often have with EAVS is gathering data from local officials and compiling it into the state's submission. In previous EAVS, some states have created their own data collection tools to do this, but the EAVS project team now provides a centralized online survey to assist with collecting data from local jurisdictions and aggregating it into the state's EAVS data submission. We refer to this as the online template. If your state is collecting significant amounts of data directly from local jurisdictions, we highly recommend you use the online template to do that, since this format allows several advantages. First, this template allows local jurisdictions to submit their data fully online. It's compatible with all the most common web browsers and doesn't require any special software to access it. It also ensures the security of your data because each jurisdiction has a unique password to access the online template. The format of the online template is also very user-friendly. The layout of the questions matches the layout of the paper survey. So jurisdictions that use the paper survey to help them compile their data will have an easy time transferring that data into the online template. It's also very easy to navigate between survey questions and each section of the survey. A Save and Continue button located on each survey screen will automatically save all data that has been entered, which means local officials can complete the survey in multiple sessions if they need to. The template also allows them to download a report of the data they've entered and review it prior to submitting their survey. All these features make for a really smooth experience for local officials and cuts down on the time they spend responding to the survey. The online template also has features that state officials really like. The online template and Excel templates work together so that when a local jurisdiction submits their online template, the data is ported directly into your state's Excel template without the need to copy or paste anything manually. You can review the jurisdiction submissions in the Excel template before you submit your data to the EAVS project team. In addition, when it comes time to finalize your state's data submission in February 2023, as a reminder, data is due on February 1st. Your jurisdiction's online surveys will be unlocked so they can go back in and make any necessary data corrections. In addition, the EAVS portal can help you track your jurisdiction's progress through the online template. The state files page of the portal, which requires you to log in with your unique credentials, has a table that lists each of your jurisdictions and their survey status, whether the jurisdiction hasn't started the survey, is in progress, or has submitted, along with the percentage of questions completed and a timestamp of when the jurisdiction last accessed the online survey. For more details about how the online template works in conjunction with the Excel template, we invite you to review our data template user guide on the resources page of the EAVS portal. This user guide gives step-by-step instructions for using both templates, and we invite state officials to share this user guide with their local jurisdictions if they plan to use the online template. The online template also allows state officials to customize parts of the template. For instance, if your state can answer some EAVS questions with data from your state's centralized database, our project team can pre-fill those responses into the online template. Or if your local jurisdictions do not need to provide any responses to one of the survey sections, we can hide the section that your jurisdictions don't need to complete. If you want to customize the online template, please reach out to the EAVS project team. These customization requests will take between 5 and 7 business days to complete. For more information on customizing the online template, see the third EAVS newsletter and the data template user guide, both of which are on the resources page of the EAVS portal. We're now going to hear from election officials from 2 states who have worked with their local jurisdictions to successfully complete the EAVS in past years. These POCs are going to share their advice for completing the survey successfully in 2022.
I'm Brittany Westfall. I'm the Director of Elections at the West Virginia Secretary of State's office. So some of the challenge that our jurisdictions face is understanding the questions and all the different categories of the EAVS survey. So what we've done through the years is we try to get that information out as soon as the EAC releases it. We send the counties the entire survey so that they can get familiar with the questions and understanding what kind of data they're going to have to keep track of and ask questions early on. Another thing we do is we have trainings with the counties on the EAVS survey so that we're all on the same page and we understand the importance of it and the reason why we have to collect so much data with so many different categories. And so through the years, we've taken a couple different approaches. I've done everything with them from collecting the data on paper, collecting the data from our system, and now more recently, the great tool that you all offer, we use the tool where they can enter the information that we determine cannot be collected in our SVRS system. So definitely making sure that counties understand the questions early on, what they're going to have to track throughout the election. As soon as you get that information, you want to share that. Some of the best practices is, number one, at the state level, first determining what can we determine from the data in our statewide voter registration system. So a lot of the information from voter registration down to absentee can be collected as data from our system, but not all of it. Everyone has different vendors and you're gonna face some challenges getting everything you need from the data alone. So determining what cannot be answered from the system and making sure that the counties are aware that it needs to be tracked outside of the system has really helped us through the years. One thing you don't I've learned you don't want to do, that sometimes was done in the past, is just hand over the whole survey to your jurisdiction and ask them to hand it out, to fill that out. It's better if you can, from my experience, it's been better to collect everything possible at the state level from our system, and then ask the counties to kind of fill in those blanks, again, using the tool that you've provided now. So when we receive the EAVS data from the counties, one of the issues we sometimes run into is when they may not understand the differences in the different categories that are related to a very similar subject. So for example, the breakdown of the different absentee data or the breakdown of provisional ballot data, sometimes that can overlap. And sometimes you might get a total that doesn't add up quite correct because they may have repeated that through different categories. So being able to catch that with definitely the EAVS Excel sheet, that helps a lot to catch that, seeing if a total just doesn't quite add up to what the county overall total is. And the way we contact the counties to address these kind of issues, while we do have statewide trainings on this, what it comes down to is one-on-one conversations with the counties about their data. So when I get that back and I see that there may be issues, and I review that as a whole as much as I can, then I'll contact the counties one-on-one to see what the problem might be and to go over the questions and make sure that they understand what they're reporting there and why that isn't adding up correctly. Sometimes it's hard to get, I would say, county participation, getting them involved, and some of the reasons that it's important the survey helps them. So I would say you can, a way to inspire your counties to really participate and make sure they fill out all the information in this survey is because more and more we have other parties wanting this information. The request for data is very high now. We always spend a lot of time giving that to people, and we want to be as transparent as possible to our public. So by filling out this survey, it takes a lot of the workload off of the jurisdictions down the road, and it helps, they can refer them to me or they can refer them directly to the survey, and a lot of the questions can be answered and reduce the time they have to spend in the long run providing these type of statistics. So some advice I have for other states in working with their local jurisdictions is, again, to definitely start talking about this as soon as possible. And you don't want to just tell them about the survey and give them the questions. It's more of an ongoing training. So as we train on things like entering certain data into the statewide voter registration system, or even tracking the data that can't be tracked in there outside of the system, why it's important to track these different types of data. And they probably hear it from me so many times. We have to track this because it's in the EAVS survey. It's very important because it's in the EAVS survey. So it's not just one conversation, it's an ongoing conversation through each type of training you would have with the counties.
My name is Kathy Summers. I'm an election specialist with the state of Tennessee. I have been working here since 1993 and have worked with the EAVS survey since inception of the survey.
And I'm Jessica Lim. I'm the elections attorney with the Tennessee Secretary of State's Division of Elections, and I joined the office in late 2019. So I have been helping ever since I came on, really at the tail end of 2019. Since now. And I will say the bulk of the work Kathy does in working with the counties, because we are a kind of bottoms up jurisdiction.
Some of the challenges that our counties have regarding the survey sometimes is always understanding what the question is asking and what they need to be pulling that information from. We usually work with them on that prior to the survey, but we still have counties that still contact us regarding that.
I agree. I think some of the biggest challenges have to do with terminology. And so kind of just the differences in what you guys may call something and that we call something, but we understand that you guys want. And so explaining that to the counties, and then where and how we keep data is sometimes not exactly how you guys want your data. And there can be differences. And so we'll have the counties pull something from here and put it together with something we keep over here. And so numbers that they don't normally keep under Tennessee law, that you guys want. And so we get lots of questions about that, especially for newer administrators.
Some of our best practices regarding submitting the EAVS and the questions to the county is that we go through that booklet that is provided to us from the EAVS or from the Force Marsh group. And we edit it to tell the counties, this is how we want you to respond to this question. This is where you're going to find this question's answer, or this is where you'll pull your data from. So we stay on top of the counties with it, and we try to educate them on that. We also do education. Last time we had to do it through a webinar because of COVID, so we were not allowed to meet, in a big group to go over the survey. But in the past, we've gone over the survey section by section and explaining to them what's needed, where they need to pull it from, and that type of thing.
Yes, so some of what I think are our best practices are we start at the very beginning in trying to educate our counties and get them caught up with any changes or anything. So it is to avoid on the back end having to explain. So like she said, when we get the questions after the election, so starting in November, we annotate the questions to include the data that we know you guys are looking for. If our terminology is a little different, or we will say this number that you put here should match with this, what you put on this report. So it's an easy data point for them to go get. And it's also an easy way for them to double check they have the right number as well. So we will annotate that, and then we will send it out to the counties and have a webinar explaining all the changes, and then any other little tidbits that we have, any other questions that we have written down from the year before that kind of caught up the counties, we will explain and just iterate. And then I guess during the process, as Kathy said, we really kind of try to stay on top of them and make sure that we get it in. But Kathy really provides, round the clock support for any questions we have. And then as it gets closer to the deadline, we really go through one by one. By we, I mean Kathy really goes through one by one and calls each county. Either they're missing stuff, they're missing some type of data, their data doesn't match up to what we have. So there's also that back end kind of support and trying to corral them when it gets closer to the deadline.
Once a county submits their data to us, we review that data against reports that the counties have filed for that specific election. And we look at the consistency in their responses to the survey based off of various different reports that they've submitted to us. And if there are any issues with that, I get in contact with them immediately and discuss where I see an issue and discuss how it needs to be corrected, whether it's something that needs to be corrected on their report end for what they file with the state or the one that they're filing with the survey.
Some advice that I would offer to other jurisdictions with local point of contact is that it does take work, which I know is not exactly what you want to hear, that hopefully every local county can input their number on time and check their own data, but we like to ensure and help them. And it does take a lot of time, unfortunately. It also takes time and work on the front end that we believe saves time and confusion for some of our counties. And I think the most helpful thing that we've done has been to add notes to the questions that you send out and to do a webinar every year. And we make it mandatory that all of our 95 counties attend, at least one person from each office. And I think that that has helped drastically in the past couple of years, as Kathy can probably expound upon.
Okay, I agree. I agree with Jessica. I don't have anything to add to that, really, truthfully. Just doing our webinars, getting our booklet together, just, making sure the counties know that we are here for them if they have a question. And believe me, they will call me and they will ask. So, and if I can't help them, Jessica helps with whatever I can't help them with.
Thank you to Brittany, Kathy, and Jessica for sharing their advice. As you can see, local election officials have an important role in EAVS, and their participation in the 2022 survey will be crucial to this project's success. I want to close with some additional advice for states that will be collecting data directly from local jurisdiction officials for their EAVS submission. First, it's important to start your EAVS work early and communicate often with your jurisdiction election officials about the project requirements and deadlines. The work you do to prepare in advance will pay off later on, as you'll have more accurate and consistent draft data that takes less time to review and correct. Second, share the resources that are on the EAVS portal with jurisdiction officials. That website has newsletters, a user guide with step-by-step instructions on how to use the data collection templates, videos that walk users through each section of the survey and its instructions, and more. These resources can help jurisdiction election officials better understand the data they'll be providing and how to use the templates. Next, issue advice specific to your state. As the interviews in this video have shown, one of the big challenges in working with local jurisdiction officials is ensuring that everyone is interpreting the questions in the same way and pulling their data responses from the correct sources, so your state data submission will be consistent across all jurisdictions. If jurisdiction officials are answering questions inconsistently, it will mean more work down the line to correct and redo portions of your data submission. Examples of state-specific advice you might provide can include annotating the EAVS questionnaire with state-specific advice on how EAVS terms are used within your state, holding webinars or conference calls or other trainings to prepare jurisdiction officials, and providing advice on how to pull specific numbers from existing databases and reports. Communicate often with jurisdiction election officials throughout the EAVS data collection period and make sure they know how to get their questions answered. If you're using the online template in your EAVS data collection plan, let jurisdiction officials know how it will be customized and what they can expect when they begin using the online template. For example, give them a list of each EAVS item that will be pre-filled as does not apply, as well as any items that will be pre-filled with state provided data. Use the information available to you on the EAVS portal to track jurisdiction progress with the online template and identify jurisdictions that may be in need of assistance. Finally, carefully review all data you receive from local jurisdictions. Pay particular attention to the use of the does not apply code to ensure that it's being used accurately and consistently across jurisdictions. Also, check that the data in your EAVS submission matches with other data reports. The Excel template will show you all your data in the same file, so you can easily compare responses across jurisdictions. Submitting accurate EAVS data will benefit you and your jurisdiction election officials later on. Many election officials are spending a lot of time these days talking to the public about their election data, And EAVS is a public data set that you can refer interested parties to in the future if they want to know more about how you administer your elections. Thank you for watching this webinar. The EAC is excited that the 2022 EAVS data collection is underway now. State and local election officials can visit the EAVS portal to find more information and resources about the project. And state officials will use the EAVS portal to submit their data to the EAVS project team. You can also find the additional webinars in this series on the EAVS portal. If you have any questions about the 2022 EAVS, contact the project team at eaves@forestmarshgroup.com. Thank you for working on this important project.